think that camera's on. We had this issue last time or before.
Thanks, Pat.
Seems like since we've had the computer hack, these things have never been right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's been some change that the clerk's office has made.
I
that's
can
a
in
little
that
different.
work if you want me to.
So last time, didn't we have to do something with the video options?
Come on.
Lordy. You are recording.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to Atchison County Commission meeting for Tuesday, June 17th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And if our finance director could provide roll call.
Commissioner Quinn,
Present?
Commissioner Knoll,
Here.
Commissioner King.
Here.
All right, thank you. No invocation this morning. If you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment? Seeing none. Approval of the agenda. I have two additions to the agenda. I have a Kansas Department of Revenue request for permanent premise approval for an alcohol permit. And then also at the end, we will be adjourning at noon for a budget workshop for roughly, we're anticipating 2 hours with our finance director. So with those additions, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So, second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0. Consent agenda has the commission meeting minutes from last Tuesday, June 10th, and the finance director.
Morning.
Morning.
Payroll for Friday, June 20th is $187,109.90. And we have credit cards that are being paid tomorrow, Wednesday, June 18th, on that accounts payable expense run of $12,123.25. There are several departments. Do you still want me to go through each of the departments?
Well, so yeah, we were gonna have a conversation
Okay.
about this in
have
our
that.
budget hearing
Okay.
about moving forward with the format of this.
Okay. Do you want me to just do it for this time?
Yeah,
or-
and then
okay.
we can talk.
Okay,
Thank
so $1,050.26 is to the appraiser's office, training, travel expenses, fuel, office supplies. $17.96 is to the county lake for bungee cords. $2,197.69 to Road and Bridge for office supplies, postage, boot allowances, parts, and they paid the Evergy bill via credit card. $351.44 to EMS for job advertising and Evergy bill. $513 to HR for Canva and Grammarly subscriptions and Fred Pryor seminar subscription. $75 to IT for job advertising. $1,198.16 to the sheriff's office for Apple storage plan, fuel charges, newspaper subscriptions, toll charges, fax charges, and training conferences. $135.29 to community corrections for tolls, shipping charges, batteries, and training. $826.44 to solid waste for auto parts and tire repairs. $5,293.68 to joint communications for Adobe Pro subscription and Indeed charges. $464.33 to noxious weed department for tick repellent, postage, pesticide dealer renewals, and the Evergy bill. The total of tomorrow, Wednesday, June 18th, check run is 158,853.80. There's quite a few larger expenses on the list. Some was for the Ottawa Road project. There was about 60,000 for recycling and trash expense to Ham. So it's just one of those weeks where there's bigger bills on there. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but if not, that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, I look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0.
Right, no, go to the next page. And you're right at the top. There you go.
All right, next I have the Kansas Department of Revenue request for permanent premise approval for alcohol beverage control for Pine View Country Club. They have a new license application, so I'd look for a motion to approve this in their clubhouse.
So move. So.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. We just sign down at the bottom to show our support on that. All right. Next, we have Jason Gibson, Christy Maury with Northeast Kansas Community Action Partnership with a 2026 budget request. Welcome. You guys can come on up.
We both here, I'll bring you another chair.
Oh, there. Yeah, we have the microphones so for our meetings. It's easier to.
That's not gonna fit up there.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We are from K.S.A and I'm the housing director and he is in our fiscal department and he helps me with the finances. So that's why we're here presenting today.
Okay.
In 1989, the 7 counties of Atchison, Brown, Donovan, Jackson, Jefferson, Nemaha, and Marshall all signed a cooperative agreement that basically established the housing authority for this area. And so with K.S.A and K.S.A has been operating it for the last 36 years and we use the CSBG grant in order to help fund any of the indirect cost for the program. The program itself is funded through federal dollars through the Department of HUD that pays for the rental assistance and then the staff salaries and things like that. But the supportive cost of K.S.A to help provide the program to be continued, that funding is currently looking at on the budget for federal budget that it's going to be deleted. So we are just going around to all 7 counties, just asking for kind of up to $5,000 in assistance. We are not asking, how do I put that? When we're asking the counties, we're saying that please try to keep it in the budget as a opportunity if there is no more CSBG. But if we're funded and things like that, we would not be needing the assistance, if that makes sense.
And you're anticipating to be cut for 2026?
It could be, currently the bill that passed the House, I think. Still has it in there to be cut, but it still has to get past the Senate, so. Hopefully something could happen and
You're just being proactive.
they-
Being very
then we're
proactive,
just
yeah.
trying to be proactive. So if we do need the money, that it's there to continue to run the program, so.
And so we do not operate within the city limits of Atchison because they have their own Atchison Housing Authority, but we do operate in the rest of the county. So this is not funding that would be in the city limits of Atchison. It would only be in the surrounding areas.
Well, thanks for clarifying that,
Mhm.
because as you were speaking and I was taking notes, I thought that NECAP was over the Atchison Housing Authority. But that's interesting. They're standalone.
They run through the city.
And then you help the housing
Mhm.
authority in the rural outside of them. Okay.
Yeah, so we are really a rural, we help a lot of the rural areas
Okay.
in these 7 counties for sure.
Okay.
Which is a completely different population than the Atchison.
Yeah.
We did run the through our office, we also run the tenant-based rental assistance program. And we did assist with that in city limits, but in 2020, when they were having a struggle trying to get enough people on their program, we backed off. So, yeah.
Is that true with other counties? Do they have, or are they use the housing authority for everything, like in Hiawatha?
Yep.
You
Yep,
are,
we are the housing authority for everywhere, except the city limits of Atchison in all of those counties. Mhm.
And you provide assistance with rent, but also do you help homeowners or?
So we do have a homeownership
Families.
program as well. You have to be in the program for at least 12 months in order to be part of the homeownership program. And then we also have a family self-sufficiency program within that program as well that helps people for 5 years work on job skills and basically to improve their education and things like that.
Do you assist with like utilities or?
The program does help with utilities if you are extremely low,
Okay.
part of the rent calculation, but it doesn't, it's usually only like 5 to 6 families that are that extremely low that we assist with. Yep.
Like we have some other programs in Atchison that will help with utilities, but that's not part of this
Right.
program.
So NECAP has several housing programs, but for the housing authority, it is only the housing choice voucher program.
Okay.
And then and then we also have homeless programs and things like that, but that's ran through the CSBG grant that's also being discussed as being closed. I mean, shut down, not funded. And so those programs, they would not even be able to operate at all without the CSBG grant. Whereas this program could operate, it's just to have the NECAP support. We've got to be able to find the funds to be able to have them still assist. Otherwise, I'll have to look and see if it's a possibility to change it up and do something else, which has not been that way for 36 years. So it's just looking to see how to keep it as is, but if we need to adjust, then that's gonna have to be coming back through the counties for a different conversation. So yeah.
What is your, like, what was your 25 budget, for instance? Can you share that with us?
I believe the administrative in total that like this includes the salaries, training and utilities and all that stuff. I think it was somewhere but kind of around 190 to 200,000 for the housing choice voucher plus the FSS. It's kind of around there.
Have you met with, how many of the 7 counties have you already met with?
We still have Marshall and Nemaha after
Nice.
today. Yeah.
Has it went well?
Some counties ask questions, some counties not. haven't had anyone just tell us no yet, but we understand the situation the counties are in with staying budget,
Neutral.
yeah, like neutral and stuff, so we're just going in while you're putting the stuff together, so we're not coming to you late and you're like, you understand the process, right?
No, yeah, no, it's,
Um,
appreciate you coming and
Yeah.
getting on the agenda.
that, and just to clarify also, the money that's getting requested is not to give people raises or anything like that. It's just to continue the operations as they are.
Sure.
And the other thing, one of the other questions, that one of the other counties had asked that I thought was a good question, was just generally like, oh, I just lost it. Oh my gosh. No, that's fine.
You're fine.
Yeah, it was a really good question though, but yeah.
Well,
How to do what you're saying, no. Yeah.
These are income-based, need-based.
They are, you have to be below 30%, 75% of the people in the program have to be below 30% of the median income. And then we can usually help up to 50% of the median income.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your,
Do you have any
What?
documentation or anything for us, or?
what,
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know, so,
no, he
I don't
brings
think
it
there
notes.
is any. Yeah, I just have notes and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
But if there's anyone with any questions, just go ahead and reach out and we can answer anything for you. So.
Mark, all of your contact.
Yeah,
Yep.
perfect.
Perfect.
All right, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next up we have Corey Scott, EMS Director, with the department update and rural fire district boundaries, update. Morning,
Morning,
how are you?
pretty good. Where would you like to start?
I think it was me the last week, it's all of a sudden I kind of remembered about the boundaries. Well, I was talking about elections and I was thinking about the possibility of fire district number 2 wanted to get into those areas that there would be an election. So that's kind of what spurred me to bring up the question. So I didn't know if there had been any progress on that.
Yeah, so this is the current map
Thank you.
that we all have and that we're operating off of and is in the CAD system for dispatch. So first thing, we'll start with the Valley Falls area. The clerk's office came up with this, and I passed this on to the parties that would need to. I cannot tell you, not being a lawyer, whether or not this particular document confirms that that's Valley Falls area. I would say it does. There's a petition that was signed by the landowners and a request from that fire district to the county clerk at the time. Dated 1996. So to me, that one seems to be the way it's supposed to be. The Holton fire area, 513 on that map. After talking to everybody involved, including the Holton fire chief, they're doing that as a courtesy. Their understanding is that became theirs because of the Delaware River, and when it exceeds its banks, they're the only fire department that can get to that area readily.
So they're not collecting tax from that. They're just doing it as a courtesy.
Doing it as a
But they
courtesy.
acknowledge that it is theirs.
I talked to the fire chief and they seem comfortable responding to it. I don't know whose responsibility it ends up being in assuring that there's fire protection in that area, even if there is any statute that says there has to be fire protection.
Surprisingly, is not.
It's the way I understood it.
I know
So-
in past, that was always a point of contention to that area through there. Back when I was on fire district years ago, that they thought Atchison County got the taxing, the money from that. And so that's kind of a surprise that they acknowledge that they are accepting it.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
that one, I don't know if that comes down to the township. I don't know if that comes down to the county. Who's responsible for assuring that, but at the moment, Holton Fire seems comfortable with the situation. The next one would be the Horton Fire area. Horton Fire has 2 contracts for that area, one with the city of Muskota and one with Grasshopper Township. I have copies of both of those. Their map attached to the Grasshopper Township area does not do a great job of spelling out the area. It's hand drawn on a map. That's the Muskota one. This is the Grasshopper Township one. I'd say there's some discrepancies in their map, but I think the other two districts in that area, in my opinion, their lines help establish that a little better. But they do have contracts for those areas. The Everest area. We were unable to locate the original contract. I contacted the Grasshopper Township Board. We put together another contract that had the exact same terms as we understood it previously from the contract nobody can find. The Grasshopper Township Board signed that contract. It's been pushed on to the Washington Township Board in Brown County. They have said they're going to sign it. Our fire chief up there has a copy of it, and as soon as he has it signed, I'll file it with the clerk's office. But here is the contract unsigned that is in the Township Board in Brown County's hands. And it does spell out the exact area, and it is the exact area as the CAD map showed that was updated in 2012, that the map that you have in front of you. The one documentation I don't have, but I have seen it and I know it exists, and GIS and the clerk's office found it. The area that Effingham District 2 wants to absorb into their taxing district, they do have a contract for that dating back to 1968. So there is a contract that exists between them. So in terms of the map and updating GIS and CAD, they're already covering it. If they absorb it, they'll still be covering it. So in my opinion, we don't change the map. Because functionally, there will be no difference in who gets dispatched.
Can you get us a copy of that?
Yeah, Roger has it. He's the one that showed it to me. So he does have it down here.
Okay, and that you say dated 60.
I believe 1968. And that's the year that the fire district, I believe, was formed too. So, and it does have a map attached to it that describes that area. So if they change, if, you know, District 2 changes from being a contract provider to that area to actually absorbing it into their taxing district from dispatching and who's responding to that area, I don't see any need. It's already on the map, I guess is what I'm saying. So that's where we're at on that. The Holton Fire one's really the only one that's kind of up in the air.
Well, if they acknowledge it. I mean,
Yeah, their fire chief said, yeah.
It's too bad there isn't a document though that would point that out. I don't know.
Would that be a deal breaker if you came to them and said, well, Atchison County would kind of like to see some kind of
Yeah, I have.
legal document?
I can reach out to him again.
I mean, I'm
Acknowledgement.
just curious.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
no.
what I was hoping. If we had a copy and a full package of this, then all of these entities would get that copy. Have you sent any of this to like Valley Falls, Everest, or any of them? I mean, and once.
Yeah, well, Valley Falls, I haven't had any correspondence back. The clerk's office found that documentation. Horton Fire and Everest Fire, I've had direct conversations with everybody involved. Obviously, being on Everest Fire, I'm integral to that anyway.
Mhm.
So that one was pretty easy, but Horton Fire is fine with the way things are. So. And like I said, documentation exists.
Roger, since you're in here, he said that there is a copy of the agreement between is it Effingham, or it's not Everest, it's
District 2, Effingham District 2.
Yeah, District 2, that's back from 1968. Agreement, can I get a copy of that?
The one you showed me in your office a couple months back. And I may be wrong on the year. I'm going off memory there.
You know what, I don't
Well, I don't have to have it right now.
know, there's enough of these. That I have to refresh my memory as to
Sure. Sure.
what each one were, but. You know, again, part of the deal is, these agreements were written so badly. Many of them were now, and again, I'll have to go back, so exactly which area are you
It's
looking for?
Grasshopper Township and Rural Fire District number 2, right?
Correct.
it would have been the northern part of the, on the map, it'd have been the northern part of, that's in Grasshopper Township on the rural fire district #2. And there was, I know they couldn't find a contractor or anything for years, they've been looking, so. And they were also talking about absorbing it, which that would have to go to an election, correct, Pat?
Petition, isn't it?
Yeah, petition.
A petition,
Yeah. Similar to the one I handed you for Valley Falls.
so.
Yeah, and that's one of the points, that there's no requirement that there be coverage of every part of the county, and so if the people don't want to be included in the district, they don't have to be included in the district. And a district that exists doesn't have to go provide firefighting services.
So how does that work? If there's like no fire district that covers an area, but that someone calls that's in that area, it's gonna get routed somewhere. And that it's almost like you would think that, well, there's a fire coverage, you don't get you know, any response.
Well, what ends
Area.
up happening is, like, fire departments typically are very willing to help. And they don't question it, they just go.
Yeah, I'm not
That
saying
doesn't
that's
cover
what-
our legal,
Right, well.
legal obligations necessarily, but
I
yeah,
think that's what you're looking for right there.
yeah, I believe that's the one I saw.
And the contractor's on the opposite side of that. And I am gonna tell you, as we start digging, we find lots of stuff. Now, the point that we do is we try and enter as much of this into the geodatabase as possible. It's just like roads and everything else. If we don't log it in, the next people aren't gonna find it. And so it's just a matter of us getting, that's our superpower, is keeping that information findable. Because I have been told by so many people, there's no contracts on any of this stuff. And then you just keep digging up this little crap, but
Yeah.
but as you see, it's just. You can keep that copy. We have a second one in here.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll take
Hey, yeah,
Well, okay, if everybody wants one, that's great. I'm sorry.
well,
No, that's okay.
So,
it's pretty bad, I can't even see the screen.
that's where I've landed on all of it. I should have the signed copy for Washington Township and Everest Fire very soon. I thought I was gonna have it last night at the fire meeting, but they hadn't gotten around to signing it yet, so. But they'll give me a copy as soon as they sign it. I've talked to the township trustee up there and he said, no problem whatsoever. We've been doing it since the 1950s and we're gonna sign it, so I would expect
And
it
this
to get
is-
signed.
awesome.
The interesting part is this says rural fire district who will protect all of the areas. And it lists all of that area and it says payable starting with $375 on June 1st, 1990.
No, I was way off on the year.
$375 payable on December 1st, 1990. With the understanding both parties involved will be reviewed in December of each year. Now, guarantee you none of that's happened if none of these people knew this was in existence. So, is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think
So,
it's lost to time and changes and nobody's fault. It just
no,
leadership changes and
they just don't keep it.
yeah. Well, I know, like I said, I know I've seen the contract for Everest years and years and years ago digging through a file, but then fire chief passes away and that file gets misplaced and here we are. So,
I think that's what you were looking for though, wasn't it?
Yes,
Okay.
well,
Yeah.
I know like the fire district has been scrapped, you know, they don't have any records of anything. And so it's one thing I was wanting to give them a copy of everything that we had, just any, so.
And there are, and
that way
just
they can,
just for explanation purposes. So you get into looking at this and then you start saying, well, how did this get in that district? How did this get in that district? Or vice versa. And what you find is that if they actually were part of the petition to get into the district, there's no contract between them because they're an actual part of the district.
Mhm.
And so you're not gonna find contracts on everything. And there are places where portions of what was in Effingham is now in Nortonville because they actually petitioned and went into that district. And the same thing with Valley Falls. So you won't find an agreement because they're part of the district.
You
So Pat, you know.
might want to print out
You're not
one in
concerned
color
about
just so you
that little
can
area.
interpret it.
I'm concerned.
Or is it-
I mean, sense that,
Get it in color anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm concerned about all of the areas. I think they.
This is the original,
Part
so
of the
it's not-
district
Oh, gotcha.
contract.
Sorry. It looked green from over here.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
kinda
you
agree.
don't really have a way to force, the force.
You don't have that original back, that.
Yeah, you want it back? I've got a copy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, but no, you've spoken with them and they just gave.
Yeah.
They gave you a verbal on it. Okay.
Yeah, fire chief said he was fine with
I
it.
just didn't know if they'd be willing to give us a little
Yeah, I can reach out again.
document, just say, hey, we're fine with it, here's my non-Hancock,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, you know. You know, I don't wanna scare them away from it, that's for sure, I don't wanna do any of that. But I see on here, and this is, I thank you for doing this, you said Atchison rescue too, and so home fire, yeah.
Oh, this is all
You
Roger.
put
This is Roger's
it-
map.
Whoever. did
That's
that,
very, yeah.
No, it's.
Roger.
What's that?
It's comprehensive. I
The,
appreciate it.
the fire district and response map. That's,
Oh.
that's all Roger
Yeah,
and his
back-
department.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah,
It is.
it's a very good map. And like I said, at this point,
Easy to.
this map's good. And I wouldn't mess with it at this point, because like I said, it's all programmed into the CAD system and dispatch.
Awesome.
Basically, all I've done is confirm his work that there's documentation in most parts to back it, so.
Yeah,
All right.
appreciate that.
Roof repair?
Yep.
The company came out, did the spray on roof coating at EMS Station 1 and the EOC. Looks really good, looks really nice, they did a nice job. Been paying attention, no leaks that we've noted. I looked at it this morning after the rain, no new leaks that we can find, no water on the floor, everything looks good. Brian has 2 cases of tiles ordered to replace the ones that were damaged. And we'll keep an eye on it from there, but I think that was successful, happy with it.
And that came with a warranty, correct?
Have to ask Brian.
Yeah.
He-
I just want to make sure we keep that on
Probably,
file
yeah.
because I'm pretty positive he said that there
Yeah.
was a warranty.
Brian has all the quotes and all the
Yep.
invoices on that, so
Awesome.
that'd be a Brian
Maybe
question.
Make a note of that, Mark, if you would, so we can make sure we have it on file. If that ever. Cool, thank you.
Anything else?
Oh, was there a meeting at the hospital planned for this month? Did I miss
Oh.
that?
We did have that meeting.
Okay,
It got changed to the 4th instead of June 4th instead of the 10th.
okay.
We met with the cardiology department at Mosaic, who does the cardiac cath lab.
Good.
And they gave their medical opinion on what the medication protocol should be for layperson's terms, heart attack victims, but very specific types of heart attacks we went into. And their opinion was that bolusing the medications, meaning just doing an injection instead of an IV drip across time, was perfectly acceptable. Our staffing, if it needed to be advanced EMTs instead of paramedics, was acceptable. And their cardiologist said we would much rather get them down there quick than worry about an extra medication hanging.
Nice.
So I have had some email communication with their ED department manager, and it does look like they're changing their protocol to adjust to our staffing levels at any given time.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So that
Very good.
should alleviate some of the issue to where they can adjust our staffing. So
Very good.
I thought it was a very productive meeting. I was very happy with everybody involved. Dr. Leck was there, Dr. Thielman, the ED director, was there, 2 cardiologists from Mosaic were there, the ED manager, and myself.
Excellent.
I was very happy with the outcome of that meeting.
Awesome.
Good deal. Glad you got that ironed out, because I know that was gonna make a
Mhm.
big difference.
And it's not that we're
Going
No, we're
forward.
still gonna recruit paramedics. We're still
Sure.
doing in-house paramedics, but that gives us that ability to get somebody that needs a cardiac cath lab down there 30-35 minutes, as opposed to waiting on a paramedic to come in off duty or come from another station.
Yeah, or bring somebody here
Yeah, from an outside area.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
all right.
Okay.
Have a good day.
And you too, Roger. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is Northeast Kansas Multi-County Health Department resolution. I'm gonna look for a motion to table that I'll give you more information on that.
Table it till.
Yeah, Susan was added to the email, so she just put it on here and I didn't realize. I'll give you an update on where we're at as a department, and then we can table it if we want to entertain it or not.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table that discussion for now.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye, passes 3-0. Mark Zeltner, Finance Director, consideration of PO and lease payment approvals.
And more of the.
Sure, thanks.
I'm hoping that was.
Okay, I've got several things. The first one is a request for payment to exchange for the rec commission for rock and delivery to be paid out of the maintenance fund. That's for $1,849.10 to Service Excavating.
All right, I would look for a motion to approve the request for payment in the amount of $1,849.10 to Service Excavating as presented by the Finance Director.
And this goes to. Just the
It's two,
409 or?
yes, yes,
The 409, or
yes,
the
it's,
Eastern
yeah,
Sports Complex.
yes, correct.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
I have another request for payment. This one's for USD 377 Sports Complex. They completed their sound system upgrade for $2,966.69. And it is payable to Guitar Center.
I would look for a motion to approve the request for payment as presented from our Finance Director.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0.
This next item is a purchase order to K.Camp for $5,599.50. Last week I had a partial deductible that you guys approved for $4,400.50. After that, I got a call from David, the CEO at K.Camp, and said that he got another invoice in from Crow, which was the forensic team that helped. They didn't get all their invoicing done prior to sending us the bill. So we have another letter that they stated that K.Camp paid an extra $7,100 in fees. So they're asking us to pay the full 10,000 deductible. So what's left is $5,599.50. And it will come out of that same cyber incident line item. The last one was. So that would be full 10,000.
Look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our Finance Director to K.Camp in the amount of $5,599.50 for the deductible for a cyber incident.
Question. What did we, I thought we approved something last week. Or
The $4,400.50.
The difference of 10,000 and this is the remaining.
Okay, so we're paying the difference here.
Yeah,
We're approving the
maxed out at
difference.
10,000.
Okay, I just want a
Right.
clarification.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0.
Just didn't get it the first time.
Okay.
Now, if they find anything, it'll be covered. right?
Yep, right. Yeah, and we, K-Camp paid them more than 10,000 anyway, so. Okay, so now I'm moving on to lease purchases. We have four lease purchases. Every time we do this, I just want to bring it up that you guys do not have to approve these. If you don't approve them and you don't make payment, the equipment goes away. I just want to let you know that you have the option to not pay it. This is payment 3 of 14 to First Option Bank on a 2024 cat motor grader and 2023 cat track loader. That's for $26,468.67. I normally put how much we have remaining, but I didn't. So after this payment is made, we would have 253,000 left to pay.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve purchase order to First Option Bank for payment 3 of 14 as presented by our finance director in the amount of $26,468.67.
So. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
Those quarterly.
No, biannually. Yeah, twice a year. And these all will come out of the road and bridge budget. Okay, this next one is again to First Option Bank, payment 4 of 14 in the amount of $20,587.89. And it's for a 2024 Kenworth T880 dump truck. And after this payment is made, 180,000 will be left.
Just road and bridge also.
Yes, all of them.
Look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our finance director.
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
The next one is also to First Option Bank, payment 4 of 10 for $24,861.86 for a 2018 Kenworth T880 dump truck. After this payment is made, we'll owe a little over 138,000.
Sorry, I just want to look
No, go ahead.
at what you were stating.
Yeah, so
So the 18 was financed for 10 or so 5 years instead of 7. And the payment's more. And the remainder.
Were they both payment 4? So I don't remember taking them
One
out.
was 5 year and one was 7 years. But one was a 2018 and one was a 2024.
yeah, that sheet should show when we got the loan up at the top.
But I was thinking one of those was for Stacy for
Now hers is all paid off.
It's interesting. Yeah, I might have more questions.
Yeah.
That's that.
We can do that.
Did you want to look at them or do you want to just make motion to approve? Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our finance director.
So move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0.
Yeah, so for anyone listening, if it thinks that this is a weird or wants to know why we do this, is because the board still has authority, even though it's budgeted, the board still has authority to not pay it, so. Why we get your approval.
What's the first payment due date on that?
2/15 of 24.
It's the same date as this one.
Yeah, we need to look into these, I think.
Something don't seem right because I don't know why we would.
So it's all in the bid proposals that we get back of the terms that the companies want to do.
I think the length had to do with the warranty period on what we were purchasing.
Well, I don't remember purchasing two trucks that close together that weren't related. I mean, or if they would have been purchased at the same time, they would have been.
Well, and my thing is one was an 18 and one was a 24 and they're roughly
You would have to pull up the RFP.
roughly the same. I mean, balance paid off is less, but
What's the,
sorry.
start at the top. What's the
Late pay.
19693? This is 613.
Yeah, they're separate notes.
I don't know. It just, something seemed off.
I thought so as well, but we can look back. later.
Yeah, we can pull up the RFPs and
Just refresh.
Yeah.
Brains.
Yeah.
Thank you.
this next one is to Exchange Bank and Trust here in Atchison, payment 6 of 10 for two 2022 Ford F-350 trucks and a Pintle hitch hydraulic tilt trailer for $15,608.25. After this payment, $59,000 will be left.
And these were all within a threshold of 150,000.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
We set ourselves a max of 150,000 lease purchase total payments, because historically it
They were
was,
kept growing.
it was ridiculously
It's like,
high. So, just so you know that. Yep, so I look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our finance director.
So. Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. Thank you.
thank you. Do you wanna in workshop next week go over the? Or do you wanna do
Yeah.
it in the meeting or?
Well, I would like to just have like an updated inventory list and then know balance dues and
Yeah,
what
I
all
have that
this.
now, so
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
that's fine.
Because,
I mean,
I just-
or each first lease.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah,
it's a good thing to review.
and even the equipment not lease purchase, like the whole inventory list would be helpful.
Okay.
Just to kind of review that as well. Okay, next is the discussion on judicial nominating committee appointment. I do not believe we've had any interest in that, and she got a reminder saying, hey, that Rosemary's going to run out, so we need to appoint. So do we know who to kind of put it out to get some interest?
Yeah.
Because we put it in the Globe on our website and on social media, and we haven't got
I can send an email to the bar to
tell
suggest that they,
start finding people.
yeah,
Okay, that would be wonderful. If you don't
And this
mind.
is countywide. And it's not a district or anything like that. It's countywide
countywide,
and
Only
it's a non-lawyer.
right.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we have about 15 minutes until Travis Grossman will be here, Memorial Hall trustee, to talk about the Memorial Hall lease agreements. So. Do we want to the, oh, yeah, come in. You have an update? Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
You have an update for us? Cause we have 15
I do
minutes.
if I got time.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that was
Sorry.
wonderful timing.
Okay, so we brought in.
Come on up here.
Last week we brought in our roof inspector,
Okay,
so we have done that. I did go to Memorial Hall. One other thing before I forget, Corey asked me warranty on that roof.
Yeah.
That is a 20-year warranty.
20-year warranty. Okay,
And so he will spot that roof every year for the next 20 years. He will come and walk it to make sure
the
that,
vendor.
yes,
Awesome.
because he doesn't want that. He does that here for us. And so while he's here, I get him to, it doesn't include the jail, but he does.
Has he looked at the health department at all?
Yes.
Awesome.
And so we're good there. Memorial Hall on the very top part. They've had a leak coming in there and we do have some issues with that roof.
Okay.
So I'm getting bids for that.
Okay.
Now, the front part of Memorial Hall, where we've got the gymnasium, that roof, we don't have any drips that I see at all, but there is some damage coming to that roof that sooner or later we're gonna have to coat it. And it's probably gonna be sooner than later, so I got a price on that coming too.
Okay.
Then I'll leave it up to you as far as I'll either say, no, it's time, you have to do it.
Mhm.
Or, if you feel we can put it off another year, we can put it off. Right now, we're at that point. We can put it off till next year. We don't have to, it's not
Is that rubber membrane?
yeah, that's memory. And they put a spray coating kind of like what went on EMS out there.
Okay.
On just half of it, because the back half still looks really good. And then I looked at tuck pointing down there. There is some spots that need it. You could, anybody could say the whole building needs it. I mean, if you're gonna grind it out and you're gonna do it, you could definitely do that. But there's not a lot of loose, bad tuck pointing down there. So in my opinion, you could spot it, you could do a little bit as you go. We could pick up somebody that, could do this very cheap for us. And we wouldn't have to spend a lot of money doing it. Now we may need equipment for doing that, but that would still be under the cost of a contractor doing your tuck pointing for you. I think we could keep it. I don't know what, I know they had a bid for something down there for tuck pointing. And
Like 227,000.
we could stay well under that.
We'll
Well
have to
under
do an
that.
RFP, but
Yeah.
you're saying like a gentleman or woman from Atchison
Yeah,
would have the
yeah.
capability.
And then
to
go
bid.
down there, make sure they have, the knowledge of how to do it and how to do it right, which I can give them. And then just see, okay, you got this far. Yeah, we're gonna keep you. No, you should get this far today and you're not getting there. So we're gonna find somebody else. It's not a urgent thing. There's more need for tuck pointing on this courthouse than there is Memorial Hall. So, in my opinion, now somebody else may tell you, that we're gonna make $200,000. You need to do this tomorrow. But in my opinion, no, I don't. And I will double that up. I'll have maybe Roger go down with me and look it over too and see if we can get a second opinion and go from there. There is a couple retaining walls down there. One that gets pushed with snowplow a lot every year. And I've done a couple repairs to it, but sooner or later, that wall's gonna have to be taken out and repaired. We would have to call the Historical Society to give them an idea of what we're gonna do. And And when they okay it, then we'd repair the wall. But
Brian, how old are the windows?
how old are the
They
windows?
look fairly
I'm not
new
sure
to
when
me.
that is a,
So
would have
like I
been,
had heard that they were replaced in the seventies.
nah,
No, I think.
no,
they're
I
more
think
than
Joe would have put those windows in. I will look, I've got some plans
that.
for
No, I
that.
just, because along with tuck pointing, generally they address
Yeah.
the cap on the window and all that.
And I think that's something we could get Emery to come back in because there's a lot of, now, when you're talking about tuck pointing, there's a lot of issues around the windows that need
Right.
recaulked.
Right.
But, and tuck pointers do caulking a lot
Mhm.
too.
They
but,
do a lot of that. Yeah.
Sure. And so there are issues there more than tuck pointing, but I think Emery could probably come in and he might even have a warranty. I know he put in the windows and doors down there. And then we've got a spot where they've always talked about water coming in by the office. They put an awning on that building, but they didn't flash it. So you've got this nice great awning that you can stand under and stay dry, but you got a gap between the building that wide. They need a piece of metal to, keep that from going down.
When you said windows, were you talking about Memorial Hall windows? I was talking about courts.
Oh,
No, I was
oh.
talking about
1897 on the courthouse window.
No, I think replaced once, I'm sure.
The actual window was rebuilt, but it never been replaced. So they came in 80, I'm gonna say 83, and they took them, Basil Rourke's nephew, took them out here in the park or front in a trailer and grind them out and put in double pane glass in a lot of them. So yeah, that was in the 80s, so I do remember them doing that.
Quick question, because you had mentioned that tuck pointing at Memorial Hall wasn't as bad as it is at the courthouse. Is that something we need to be proactive
Interesting.
on looking at,
Yeah,
and
we're-
getting
We are.
numbers? Because we might be able to find grant opportunities if we have the information together, with a historic structure.
Sure. And I'll look into that. Otherwise, then we would probably want to do it the exact same way. Take somebody that we could put in here and just say, you know what, I want you to get this corner this time. Let's put you on the payroll for 2 months and take that corner out.
Do you think it's in our best interest then to identify both projects and put an RFP? Since you're looking at the same vendors to say, hey,
Yeah.
we need you at the courthouse and Memorial Hall for these specific projects. I mean, we can funnel them in the different funds, but maybe a bang for our buck to know they have 2 projects. Just
Might work well that way too.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for the update.
Every other building looked good, so we didn't have any roof problems other than Memorial Hall. And when I get numbers, I'll bring it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Hi, Travis, come on up. We're
Good morning.
ahead of schedule and perfect timing.
Great.
So we have Travis Grossman, Memorial Hall trustee, with the Memorial Hall lease agreement update.
How are you?
Good.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just following up on our contract, the lease suggested, the lease that you guys suggested. And then the memorandum of understanding between the trustees and the county. You got to talk with Nick yesterday. How did your conversation go there?
Real well.
Good.
It was actually Friday.
Oh, Friday,
I
okay.
talked to him, he
Sorry,
gave me
sorry.
a little tour of the building, and cause I hadn't been there for a long time, years, but it's gorgeous. The floor is beautiful. They keep it up well.
Great.
They do a good job down there. I feel like with what has been proposed, so us taking over some of the maintenance, and then K.S.A talked with Nick and they talked about dropping the 3% per year increase.
Okay.
That was on the
Yep.
original proposal. I think those are good ideas. My thought is you guys were also given the insurance
Right.
premium this year to going forward. So that's on top of what has been asked the last several years. There's
Right.
never been an ask for insurance. I think it would be in both parties' best interest to attack that insurance premium over 2 or 3 years instead of giving you all of that at once, you know, the 25,000 or 23,000+
Is that what it is? The 20, it's $23,000?
It's something like
It's
that.
23,684, sorry,
Yeah.
23,683 for insurance.
Yeah.
But they could keep the income for rentals and soft drinks. So really it's 18,183 of an increase for them.
And I would just like to see like a 2 or 3 year in incremental increase versus all of it once.
Right,
That's just
right.
my opinion. I think it would be easier for you to swallow.
Is that manageable, do you think, for the county to do it that way?
So I have a different opinion of
Okay,
that.
all right.
So I think that it's not out of line to ask them to pay utilities and insurance. I mean, we're gonna be taking over all the additional costs of repairs. Brian just left here. He gave an update, getting bids to repair the roofs leaking, tuck
Good.
pointing, retaining wall repair, resealing windows. The railing height was brought up in my meeting.
Right,
So there's a lot of to-dos.
right.
So having a tenant pay utilities and insurance to me isn't out of line. And he had talked about, he has the ability to increase his mills.
Right.
So the timeline of this, right? Like this is all talking and getting agreements to place for 2026. So it's not like we need it now, but starting an agreement at the
Right.
first of the year and just knowing, you know, they use the building, they'll pay utilities and insurance, and then the refinishing of the floor, I think, is easy because the roller skating is what damages it.
Sure.
But beyond that, like all of these outlined expenses and boiler maintenance and all the things, like that's us. Like we already contract with Design Mechanical, the same company that's doing down there.
Right, right.
And having Brian be that point person again, like Joe Bowen used to be, I think will be helpful for everybody, trustees and for the rec.
Agreed, if it gets done, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, it hasn't been getting done, and that was the concern, is that,
Yeah.
you know, we're gonna hit them with this agreement, and then they go,
Yep.
well, your promise is to maintain the building, but you haven't been doing that. And well, I don't know what to do or say about that. You know?
And I think that was a really good conversation for Nick and I too, of realizing what's happened over the past few years, right? Like our previous maintenance director was housed at Memorial Hall. So it's easy to be top of mind when you're housed
Sure,
there.
you see all the problems.
Yeah, and
Right.
then our maintenance director now is housed at the courthouse. So that's on us as commissioners to make sure that we are ensuring expectations.
Sure.
And keeping it top of mind and getting updates, you know, and different things with our maintenance director to make sure that
Okay.
we're budgeting and have a, you know, a capital improvement plan, because there's a list, right, of things that need done.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
and also like some of the improvements that had been done historically, keeping that communication with the maintenance director, I think makes sense, because when we replaced the lighting, which everybody agrees was totally needed and is fantastic. It was like after it had been executed, then we found a grant that we could have, you know, went for. And so just keeping those communications funneled through a maintenance director, I think it makes everybody
Okay.
winning.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. But did you have some thoughts, Eric? I wanted to.
I'm more on the thought process as Casey is. Yeah, I think also you had the city manager on those discussions, and
yeah.
he had.
I invited him because I like collaboration, and when we had the article for the Globe about Memorial Hall,
Right.
like we were fielding calls, but City Hall was fielding just as many, if not more, of
Yeah.
like what's happening.
Right.
So just keeping him abreast of like the discussions and talking about, you know, with
Okay.
city-owned buildings, they have utilities.
Would have
and
loved to have been
agreements.
there for that meeting. That sounds like, but it was a good.
That's-
Yeah, no,
That's
Nick
kind of what's-
invited me down to meet with him, and that was the day before you, I think, because he said he invited me Thursday, and then he said Mr. Campbell was coming Friday. So
are you, I just wanted to reiterate, so, I talked with Nick and I believe you're saying the same thing, Travis, is that utility or, yeah, no, I'm sorry, the insurance, you're in agreement. But I think it would be helpful just to not have the total
Agreed.
slammed on you
Right.
in 26.
Right.
Because, I mean, I don't know what the income
is coming in, but I don't think it's changed from last year to this year, whether they have that ability. I think it takes a few, I don't think they just snap their finger and get the increased mill levy. I think it does take.
Some time, yeah, and you're right, I don't know
know that
either.
it happens overnight. Well, I'd be willing to negotiate. I know you're a hardliner on the entire amount for 26, but I mean, I would be at half of that or something, and then splitting up the other half the next year. They're not saying they don't want to pay it. They're just saying, give us, a chance to get there.
Exercise the budget. and get it all
That's,
worked
I
out.
think
Right.
that's what I'm hearing from both sides. Whether the money is there and they just have to shuffle it around to make that happen, I don't know. I just know that they didn't have the 20-some grand asked of them last year, and they do this year. So to help with the budget, that would be my suggestion. Just meet them halfway or something, to give them that. But that, I'm only one commissioner, so that's just my opinion.
I don't know that you finished your thoughts, Eric. I think we stomp back up.
Well, when I brought up the city manager, that was their thought that when they have a building there, they pay the utilities and the insurance, that was kind of the status quo or the operating, general operating.
Or SOP, standard
Yeah,
operating
yeah,
procedure.
that's kind of,
right.
normal operations. So that's kind of the reason I'm leaning towards that.
So I'm leaning toward it for a couple other reasons I think that it solidifies our lease agreement. You put in there utilities and insurance. There's no 3% increase. It is what it is. Like, we know what the cost will be.
Right.
That's what they'll be responsible for.
Are you still at the 46 or 48 or whatever, the $48,000 mark, or
Yes,
is
so
there
with-
any
with-
negotiation in that?
So no, with gas and electricity outlined of 21,000, and then water of 4,000, and then insurance of 23,683. The total's 48,683. They were already contributing 25,000, but then the income from rentals and soft drinks would go back to them. Like, we don't need rental and soft drink income. That could offset. So roughly it's $18,000 increase. But with that being said, in their recreation budget, we started talking about that because they're budgeting $80,000 for sports complex expense, because they said it cost $120,000 for maintenance at the sports complex.
Okay.
Well, we have a sales tax that's generating excess funds,
Right.
and we've had an agreement since 2006 for 40,000 for maintenance. Well, if it's 120,000 for maintenance, that's another discussion to help them with their budgeting format. And not to say the county is not going to put money in, like, we're just wanting utilities and insurance. We are still going to have to put money in 2026 to make these improvements. I
Right.
mean, the roof leaking, all the things. So
Right.
it's not like the county's just like, oh, we just want the tenant to pay what it takes to operate the building, and then we have to take care of the building. I mean, these are going to be added expenses that'll be in 2026.
Yeah, and I guess that's some of my concern too, is that, again, it hasn't been done in the past. You talk about the lighting. I brought those issues up to you.
I remember.
We did nothing about it.
Yep.
So we took it on ourselves.
Yep.
I guess my point to that with the grant, it was on your radar. You knew it needed to be done. You knew we wanted it done.
Yep.
That would have been the time to get this grant.
Yep. It was already done by the time we noticed the grant.
Oh, okay. All right. That said, so the perception that all of this money's coming out of the 409 school district has people thinking that it looks like we're going to put the cost of this Memorial Hall on anybody who is taxed for the 409 school district because of the money that's given to the rec commission. That's the funneling route. So go ahead.
No, so for that, so the other option that the recreation was wanting us to consider is they want us to deed the building over to them. They have the ability now with changes in statutes that they can own.
Do you think that's
Recreation
is that a
Commission
direction you guys would go with it?
can own property. They have the authority to go up a mill. within, so they have a plan of how to do that.
Okay,
So we.
that's news to me. I hadn't heard this.
Yeah, so, we were kind of throwing that around, like that,
Okay.
that would be ideally what they like, cause that's their hub, that's,
Right.
you know, they'd love to own it, they'd love to do all of the things, right there, and that was, kind of looking at what that looks like, if trustees would still be involved, and what the
Wouldn't
dynamic
need
of
them at
that.
that point.
Well, then does that quit being a memorial and it's just an athletic building?
That's what I worry about. That's my only concern is that
That's
we lose the whole history and the whole caveat of its purpose was to be a memorial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it now the rec gym? Right.
Yeah, so I don't know, that was just an ask from their board, that they would like to, you know, have the county
Consideration of.
deeded
yeah.
over to them, so, again, just. I,
Well, I'm open for that discussion too. I mean, whatever works best in that situation. If they think they can handle this, because my conversations with Nick were that they could not, that this was too much. So if you guys have different information on that, then
the 3% was too much, they were nervous, they didn't like it. The 3%, we
Sure.
took that out
okay.
and just outlined exactly, and they also, since they probably talked to you on Thursday when I met,
Mhm.
I forwarded to him our, cost of insurance, so he could see there's no rent added in here.
Right,
It's
right. I get
strictly-
it. Just
it's
covering the bills. I get it. I get
just
it,
the
I get it.
bills of what it takes to operate the building,
Okay.
like, nothing outside of.
So two issues here. We got this, we execute this for 2026. Great. But what's this deed? Is that going to be brought up again? Is that something we're going down that path?
I mean,
Well, I don't. That's for the board to decide, not my decision.
I get that.
Looking to me for an answer.
I
There are
think
some
the
problems.
legalities of it is maybe why we're
Yeah.
looking at you.
Well, the county cannot just simply pick somebody and give county property away.
Okay.
It's property that the county no longer needs it. There's a process for it to be sold. But of course, that requires a vote of the Board of County Commissioners
Sure.
to do that. I haven't heard anything that I think gives a compelling reason or justification for the sale, but that's not a question you asked.
No worries. I get your point though. That I think you did kind of scratch the itch. So
I'd be
then this is really
with
what
this.
this is what's at hand. We're not worried about the deed conversation at this point. Then okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
but we need to get them an answer, like, because when I left Thursday, that was one of the things, is finding out, is the county willing to even and do that? And I think our best thing is to get a lease agreement,
In
cover
place.
costs, and then for us as a historic structure along with the courthouse,
Right.
start looking at grant opportunities and
Okay.
historic tax credits, or, you know.
Okay. Well, if they're good with it, then I don't have a problem with it. I just didn't want to go down a path that was going to sink them.
What do you feel as a trustee? I mean, don't you feel that that's
I don't.
reasonable? I mean, I know
I
your
don't know.
concern
I don't
is
know.
the,
See, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. We manage the event center for the city of Atchison. We don't pay the utilities to that building. We just manage the event center and they pay us to do it. So we don't pay rent there. We take the income off of it, reinvest it in some equipment, and also the personnel necessary to function that building, but we pay nothing for it. So it's a different animal than coming here and you telling them that you got to pay for everything to keep it open. You got to pay to play.
so when you say we, so the
Theater
city,
Atchison.
oh,
Theater
Theater
Atchison.
Atchison. Okay, so the city of Atchison owns the building.
Correct.
Theater Atchison doesn't pay anything.
No, we manage it for them. They pay us to manage the building.
Okay,
Similar to the way the airport runs in our community. The city of Atchison pays a manager to run the airport. They don't pay to be there.
okay.
They don't pay maintenance. They don't pay insurance on any of that. So to get this was kind of like, whoa, this is different. I've never come across this. I've never had a city or county ever ask that the insurance be paid back to it. That it was always, it's like a swimming pool. And people that would run a swimming pool, it's usually done by a municipality because of the expense of it. It's kind of like owning a memorial hall or somewhere like that. So yeah, I think to ask them to pay it back, it seems weird, but if it works for everybody, I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem going forward. If they're amenable, that's really the biggest thing, because I don't know who else we'd get in there to manage it in the long
another question that got answered at that meeting is they do have insurance, Pat, for liability, because with
They
the
do, yeah.
railing and for kiddos,
Right.
they had a gal on staff last week that was wonderful. She was shutting kids down
Yeah,
and,
good.
saying that's a safety hazard, please sit down in your seat. And so we kind of talked about that, so we can get a copy of their in.
I'm glad
I
that-
don't think that duplicates, what we have.
It doesn't,
No,
right?
that's just
Yeah.
for incidents, because
Somebody twists their ankle
yeah,
or breaks a
little
limb or
falls off
something.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if they fell off the railing, it would probably fall in, no pun intended, fall into your court.
So question about the railing though, and understanding your role versus the maintenance director role. Because from the statute, you guys will kind of like put the things on Brian's radar, is that correct? So,
That
like,
sounds, yes.
The railing
that's the way-
height, you would do the background work to see if it's in compliance, if it's not, why, and then.
And we know it's not. I mean, we had that study done and they gave the engineer lined all of that stuff out, said it's too short.
Okay.
We didn't have hand railings. That was a concern. Obviously, I brought that up at one point in time and we took that on as well.
Yep, the hand railings are there, and then the actual current railing has been modified. So I didn't know if that put it in compliance, or maybe it's been modified since I was a child.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
There's
we didn't
there's
touch that.
walk
Yeah, we didn't
now.
touch that one. And maybe that was, that was not us.
Okay.
That's nothing new. But yeah, the height of it is a situation that has to be dealt with at some point, I would think. It still doesn't, as we know, watching, I don't know, what was it, a month ago or so, a guy fell off the balcony at a MLB stadium, right? So it doesn't keep people from not paying attention, but it certainly helps. So, all right, well, if you guys, if the rec commission's good with it, then I don't see any problems with it. I like that we'll take the 3% out. That'll probably help them in terms of budgeting going forward. And then we just turn around and we take the rent from them and then pay insurance to you guys, I assume, just write the check and.
So that was another question, is that they had a concern about volunteers, like the trustees paying the bills.
Right.
So is that something that are,
Yeah, who pays it now?
We do. We have a checking account. The money goes into that checking account, as does their support. They write the check. So we have a signature card. I'm on it. They're on it. I say there, Nick is on it. And he signs the checks for us. Then every month I check off the list and I sign. So I okay the bills to be paid.
okay?
And then he writes the checks.
So he writes
Send
the
'em.
check, so he shouldn't worry about the worry was a volunteer group not getting a utility paid, and then they show up and like the lights wouldn't be on.
Right, right.
So he's physically writing the checks.
They are physically writing them out of out of the volunteers checkbook. I think that's what he's
Okay.
saying. So assuming the
So-
money's there, we shouldn't have a problem. You're right. They would be keeping an eye on it. That's what we pay them to do as
Okay.
well. So we have to go forward with this now. We were paying them to manage the building, so now we're gonna have to have a discussion with them on what that looks like. You know, they were making, I think we were paying the director $8,000 a year to run the facility, and then their office staff another 1,500 maybe to do our bookkeeping.
Okay, so that could help them with, to offset that too, of.
Well, the
could
problem is,
finance
we
director
don't have
Or
the
our,
money now.
or our accounts payable pay the bills on behalf of the trustees or no?
We could, but in the past, you had given an appropriation to the trustees, and the trustees gave a portion of that to the rec commission staff. This year, I think you didn't give them the cash appropriation, so they don't have the funds to do that.
Got it.
Right. And again, then if that comes out of the rental, see, if we're giving the rental to the rec commission, maybe that's the trade-off. Says you keep the rental,
Yeah.
then we don't have to pay for the management. Maybe that's the trade-off. But
Yeah, cause they were
currently-
keeping track of the events that were just like community events and putting it back into the income to us, but it's like, you're managing it, you
Right.
keep the income and.
Yeah, okay, so I'll talk to them about that. Any other thoughts or questions?
Do you just want to walk through this real quick when he's here? Just so these were the notes, that we had made, for updates for Pat to make of the Memorial Hall lease agreement.
Okay.
We would start this in 2026, January 26.
Okay.
The premises on number 1, it had said Atchison County shall be permitted to use Memorial Hall for governmental, civic, and community functions on a rent-free basis. So that would be if we would be handled like any other tenant, or sorry, user.
Assume the availability
yeah,
is there, yeah.
Yep, we
agreed.
would get with them,
And I think that's prudent.
3 was changing rent to utilities and insurance, like just outlining.
Okay.
That's the only thing. There's no rent to be paid.
Okay,
Commissioner, I need some guidance there, because the one talked about, those two things are related, that we are going to start paying them if the county is using Memorial Hall. But, and the justification for that is that they were paying rent, but then the next thing you said is take out any reference to them paying rent.
Well, so the
So-
wording rent, like they're paying what it costs to run the building. So utilities and insurance, you could just title number 3 utilities and insurance.
So I don't know what else we have. I know we have the blood drive down there. Is that 4 times a year?
Yeah, and we inquired historically about possibly a Christmas party, but again, we're paying, I mean, we pay where we go to do those things. And then the lease agreement. We found out we're not obligated for the grant writing to have that 1980 or changed. Okay, things have changed since that old resolution.
okay, okay.
If
you did, Chuck has entered the conversation here, the chat, I should say.
and number 7, it says all improvements made with consent shall become the property of the trustees unless otherwise agreed in writing. And that was a concern because they've invested in Memorial Hall with their own equipment, such
Right.
as like the golf simulator was a
Right.
good example.
Yeah.
So that wording they don't want that to go to the trustees, obviously, if
Right.
something went haywire.
Right.
So, but other than that, and then, defining what the maintenance needs are.
Okay.
Because again, going back to your point, if the county is obligated to do
right.
the things, ensuring that they're
It
being
gets
done.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but other than that, it's,
Did you catch any of that? So they're just basically, we're gonna. The biggest change really, I think, would be the rent is gonna be changed from actually saying rent to more operating costs, which would include the utilities. So they being the rent commission have to pay the utilities and the insurance, which is what we say, $23,000. So that's basically what they'll pay that to us, then we use it to, I guess, pay the utilities. Yep. So that's the money. So we'll just have to talk to the rec commission on how that looks from our end.
Yeah.
How the payments work in and out.
Good.
All right. Any other thoughts about that?
no, we should have, numbers for you. Brian was kind of working on getting bids for the roof repair.
Good.
The front half needs, redone. The back half's still good.
Spray coating.
Is that
It's
what-
like the rubber membrane.
Yeah. That
spray.
works pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
The water coming in the door is because they put the awning on and whoever installed the awning didn't put the flashing above it, so it's just coming down, so it just needs a piece of flashing. Tuck pointing, he thinks we can do it in spot areas, not like the entire building at once, but he's lining out kind of a
Okay.
timeline for that.
Great.
The retaining wall will need repaired, so he's
Okay.
working on getting that, and
Good.
then at the same time, looking at possibly resealing the windows.
Okay.
Because when you're tuck pointing, then look at the windows and
Okay.
then the railing height, so.
And this
So
is
they're
that.
like the
lower
things
rate.
on the radar,
Okay, great.
and we'll probably just have to prioritize them.
Right.
Because there's several.
Yeah. Okay. I guess as long as we can ensure that they'll get done eventually, then we won't have a problem with it. That's our biggest concern, is that there had been conversations we would do it, we didn't. We didn't take care of that building that way, so. I'm glad to hear that we're thinking that direction, that we'll take care of it and get it fixed. Whether they're in there or not, those things need to be dealt with, the roof leaking is not gonna be a good solution going forward at all. Any thoughts or comments or questions?
I think you got it all covered there, Travis.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
On another matter, America 250, our celebration. Are you getting my emails per chance?
Yes.
Okay,
I was
good.
not able to make the last
I
meeting.
figured
It's
you told me-
Tuesdays are
Tough for you. Yeah.
because by the time I get out of here, got dad at home.
I got
and
you.
Get back, I couldn't make the first one.
Gotcha. Are you good? Do you think that next one you might be able to pop into?
I'm gonna
Assuming so.
try, yeah,
Sounds good.
so.
Love to have you there. we're just now kind of getting our feet under us, so it'd be great to have you there, get your input on it from the county side. All right,
Is that something you're going to be looking for funding? Because
that would be one thing we'd like to ask, and that's kind of why I was hoping you'd get there. So because I know you're getting into that. Go ahead.
yeah, we're done. Like
You're
we
done.
wrapped up, well, we've wrapped up our last presentation this morning
Okay.
with the ask. So for 2026, I mean, we're gonna have to know what that looks like. Do you have an idea? Of
I
what?
don't. I know what our baseline, we're trying to raise $68,000.
Okay,
I know that the city of Atchison is willing to put in 25,000.
okay.
And then we've got to figure out where the rest of it would come from. Obviously, we would not ask the rest of it from you necessarily, but is 25,000 out of line?
Well, we won't know that until, but is that would be the ask.
It could be, yeah.
Okay,
If we put that, I mean, if that's what the city's putting in, if the county could match that, that would be great.
thank you.
You bet. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Rose.
Hey,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
I
you guys for
appreciate your
coming.
time. Yeah. Appreciate your work
Thank you.
on this, both of you. So, you're gonna send the updated, I assume you'll email it out at some point, Pat?
Yes.
Great, excellent.
My uncle and my mother both held that seat at one time.
That's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Take care.
All right, so we have 30 minutes. So can we do a non-elected personnel, please, for 30 minutes, with HR, finance, county counselor and commissioners? And this has to do with, the health department, non-elected.
I'll move the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 11:30 a.m. to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel as allowed by K.S.A 75-4319B1, and that the purpose of the closed session is to protect the privacy rights of the employee, and that the board come out of executive session in 30 minutes in the commission room of the courthouse, and those present will be HR, finance, county counselor, and 3 commissioners.
Okay, I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye passes 3-0.
Great.
Okay.
Right.
So
So there's 2.
we are back in open session recording. It didn't.
It didn't say it, but it says it's recording.
Okay, perfect. Let's see, next week, I think a follow-up would be good for July 8th. Does that work for you guys?
For what?
A follow-up, executive session, July 8th?
Sure.
Because, yeah, because we have interviews the 17th of 24th and then a meeting on the 7th. So that would be a good time for an update on the 8th, if that works. Okay. And then I found that note. It was in 2023, it was 684,000, and in May, it was 387,000. So, yeah.
Profits.
Yep. Okay, so I would look for a motion to adjourn into budget workshop with our finance director.
So move.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, Mark, we're a minute late, but we will
Okay.
adjourn at 12:01 into a budget workshop.